Hello, and welcome back to Women for Wealth. So, today I want to talk to you about budgeting in 2026. So, I've done other films and talks on budgeting, and I think what happens with a lot of people, you start a budget, you follow it for a week or two, and then you completely abandon it. I'm seeing this more and more. The truth is, most budgets fail because they're just too restrictive, too complicated, or simply don't fit your life. So, today let's create a budget that actually works for you in 2026. Whether you're living paycheck to paycheck, trying to pay off debt, building savings, or simply wanting more control over your money, this video is going to walk you through the process step by step. By the end of the video, you'll know how to create a realistic budget that you can actually stick with long term. Because that's really the goal. You got to have a budget that you stick to. It's got to be part of your life. So let's get started. So let's talk about why most budgets fail. Most budgets fail because they're just too restrictive. It's a budget is simply a plan for your money and plan for how you're going to spend your money. Without a plan, money tends to disappear. It's like money sprouts legs and just walks off. Many people create budgets based on what they wished they spent instead of what they actually spend. And that's a mistake. You got to be realistic. If you normally spend $300 a month eating out, create a budget that allows $300 a month. If you put in your budget $20 a month for eating out, you're never going to meet that. You're just not. Be realistic in your budget. Gradually improve your habits over time. A workable budget is flexible, realistic, and designed around your life, not somebody else's life, your life, where you're at today, and how you live your life. So, how do you calculate your real monthly income? The first step is knowing how much money comes in every month. Start with your take home pay, not your salary, not your gross income, your take home pay. The amount of money that actually leaves your employer and lands in your bank account after taxes, after insurance, after retirement contributions, after deductions. Whatever actually gets deposited into your account, that's what you want to start with. If your income varies because you're on commission, look at 6 month and just calculate an average over a 6 month period. And I do a rolling 6 month average on this. So what I do is I'll calculate it for a 6 month period. And then the next month I will shift that 6 months and calculate it again. And that way I have a rolling 6 month average of what the commission structure is and what typically goes in my bank account. You want to include all of your income, your employment income, any side hustle income, any freelance work, any child support you get, any alimony you get paid, any rental income you have, any reliable monthly income is a source of income that you should include. So we're just going to pick a number. Let's say your average take home income is $4,500 per month. That's the average we'll just build our budget around. The next thing you want to do is track your expenses. Let's see where your money is going. Pull up your bank statements and your credit cards from the last 3 months. Create categories. A couple of examples of categories that I have in my budget are housing, that's, mortgage, utilities, that's your power and your water bill, groceries. If you spend out, we do a lot of cooking at home, but if you buy a lot of food or you do Uber Eats or whatever, then you want to split that out between your grocery budget for going to the grocery store and your eating out budget. Transportation. So this is your car payments, this is your maintenance on your cars, oil changes, replacing tires, whatever costs are associated with your transportation. You need to also have a line item for insurance as well as health care. As you get older, I'm going to be 50 this next birthday. Healthcare is something I'm actually spending money on, which I used to not in the past. So I need to have a line item for healthcare where I didn't on the previous budget. Entertainment. If you're somebody that loves to go out and have date night with your husband, include that in your budget. I think date nights are important. You can get creative. We do a lot of stay at home date nights where we'll be like, okay, we're going to rent a movie, we're going to do some popcorn. We're just going to take time to focus on being together and spending time together because it is important to invest in your relationships. Are you someone that likes to shop? Or do you have a job where you constantly having to buy the latest fashion? Include that. And if you're, a purse girl or high heel girl and you're buying on that, include that in your budget. Again, the goal right now is not to restrict yourself. The goal is just to get a picture of what your current spending habits are. Subscriptions. There's so many subscription plans right now. So if you have a subscription to something, include that in your budget as part of your subscription expenses. Any debt payments you have, credit cards, things like that, you want to include that. Are you saving? And I hope you are. I hope you have a regular savings plan where every time you get paid, a certain amount of money gets put into a savings account that's high yield, or you're buying stocks, or you're investing in 401k in addition to what you're doing through your employer. Hopefully, you have that. But you need to put that down as an expense because you're putting that money into savings every month and you're investing in yourself when you save money. A lot of people discover they're spending more than they realize. And that's okay. This isn't about judging you. This is about just taking a snapshot of what you actually live and what you actually spend money on. It's just about awareness because once you are aware of what you're spending, then you can improve it. You can't improve what you don't measure. So let's get the measuring stick out. Let's measure what we're spending. One of the biggest budget killers this year is subscription creep. Streaming services, apps, memberships, software subscriptions, gym memberships, monthly box deliveries. Review your current charges, anything that's recurring. A lot of banks, I know my bank does, you can do a filter that will give you all recurring charges that happens every month. Then ask yourself, do I still use this? Would I sign up for it again today? If not, cancel it. Get rid of it. Identify essential expenses, needs, not wants. So, what are some needs? Housing, utilities, food, transportation, insurance, healthcare, debt payments, basic communication services such as cell phone. So, what are wants? Dining out, streaming services, luxury purchases, vacations, entertainment, premium subscriptions. It doesn't mean the wants are bad. You don't want to live a restricted lifestyle. Life is short and life is precious. You want to enjoy your life. But you need to understand the difference between a need and a want and make sure your wants aren't controlling your financial decisions. A great way to start is the 50-30-20 rule. So, what is the 50-30-20 rule? So, 50% has to go to your needs, 30% you could put toward wants, 20% needs to go to savings and debt reduction. So let's go back to that $4,500 a month income that we came up with previously that we're just going to use as an example. So for $4,500 a month income, using the 50-30-20 rule, $2,250 is going to be spent toward your needs. $1,350 is going to be spent toward your wants. $900 is going to go toward savings and debt reduction. Now, let's be honest. Can most people hit these numbers exactly? No. Housing costs are higher. Groceries are more expensive. Insurance premiums continue to rise. And that's okay. This is a guideline. It's not a rigid rule. The goal is progress and improvement, not perfection. So let's talk about building an emergency fund. Every budget should include savings, even if it's only $25 per paycheck. Emergency funds prevent financial setbacks from becoming financial disasters. Start with $1,000, then work toward 1 month of expenses. Eventually aim for 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Automate your savings as much as possible. What you don't see, you're less likely to spend. This is very important, and this number should change depending on your lifestyle. If you're young and you're not married and you don't have kids, $1,000 is probably enough. Once you're married and you have a spouse, you need to increase that in probably 3 months. If you've got children, you need, I would say, 9 to 12 months of emergency savings account. And that's because your spouse and your children are well, not your spouse, but your children are completely dependent on you for their financial health and taking care of them. So if something were to happen catastrophic, your spouse loses their job, or you lose your job, or both of you lose your job, That is catastrophic. And I'm telling you right now that people just aren't hiring. There's too much uncertainty. There's a lot of fear around AI. So people are going a year sometimes without a job. And do you have a year's worth of expenses in your emergency savings account to where your family will not go through financial hardship? I think you should. I think that should be your goal. It's definitely my new goal. So let's talk about creating a debt payoff plan. If you've got a budget, your budget should include a strategy. There's two methods that are very popular, and I've done another video on this, so maybe the editor can link it below. But the two main ways to pay off debt are the debt snowball or the debt avalanche. So the snowball is pay off the smallest balance first. The debt avalanche says pay off the highest interest rate first. What's the debt method? Whichever one you pick and the one that you'll stick with. Consistency in small improvements beats perfection every time. Your debt will disappear and you'll redirect those payments towards savings and investing, and that's going to create momentum and accelerate your wealth building. The next thing you want to do is prepare for irregular expenses. Many budgets fail because people forget about non monthly expenses. Things that can be included in this: car repair, house maintenance. Y'all, one of my air conditioners just stopped working, and the guy wants $8,000 to replace that HVAC. I did not expect that, and that's a lot of money. Thank goodness I have an emergency savings account, so we'll be able to address that and move forward because, y'all, it is hot in the South and it is humid, and you just cannot live without an air conditioner. But that's a great example of unexpected house maintenance. Something that you should budget and plan for, but a lot of people don't, are holiday gifts. Christmas comes on December 25th every year. It should not be a surprise. You know when it is. You should plan and you should budget and you should have a separate account for that money set aside. And when you start buying gifts, you should know how much you have to spend on each individual person. If you overspend on one person, you can shift and, move money from another and balance it out. But you should not be putting holiday gifts or birthday gifts on a credit card. Another thing you need to be aware of that's irregular and not every month is back to school shopping. Um, that is hundreds of dollars now. It is just absolutely ridiculous. I know recently I was talking to somebody and they said that their child, like ninth grade child, is required to buy an Apple laptop. Now, they didn't say, here's the criteria of the laptop, here's what the laptop needs to be able to, run. They said you have to buy an Apple laptop. And I think that is absolutely ridiculous. I don't use Apple products. I'm not a fan of them. I can do a separate video on that if you want to know my opinion and why I don't use Apple. But, you need a computer that will do what you need it to do. I don't need a high powered computer where I could do video graphics and things on it because my wonderful husband's my editor. So he has that computer because he does these videos for us. But, honestly, for what I do, I just don't need that much power in my computer. So I get a cheaper computer and save that money. Another thing you need to think about is annual insurance premiums, medical expenses, and, a sinking fund. A sinking fund is simply money set aside each month for future unexpected expenses. It's kind of the old petty cash you hear about that businesses have. It's just extra money you set aside for unexpected, irregular bills and expenses that come up. If you typically spend $600 on Christmas gifts and it's 6 months away, put $100 per month in a separate account or in a cookie jar or however you want to save it. But that way, when Christmas gets here, you're not going to be stressed. You're going to be able to enjoy gift giving with your family and friends. It's not going to be as stressful. It's not going to be anxiety prone. It's not going to be the headache that it can be, the commercial just quagmire is what I'll call it. A budget helps you get rid of stress, get rid of anxiety, and it gives you freedom to enjoy your life. It's not restrictive. Automate everything that you can. Automation is one of the most powerful financial tools available. Set up automatic savings transfers, investment contributions, bill pay, debt payment, retirement contributions. Automation removes emotion from money management. It makes things easier, and easier is likely to last. Easier is going to be easier for you to maintain and for you to continue and stick with. When your budget is not a one time project, you're going to review it once a month or at least once a quarter because it's a living document. Schedule one day once a month or once a quarter that's going to be your money date. So you're going to review your income, your spending, your savings, your progress, your debt reduction, your financial goals. You're going to ask yourself what works, what doesn't, and adjust as you need to. The most successful budgeters are not perfect, they're adaptable. In conclusion, let's recap. A workable budget in 2026 starts with knowing your income, tracking your expenses, taking a snapshot as they are today, separating needs from wants, creating realistic spending categories, building savings, paying down debt, preparing for future expenses, and reviewing your progress regularly. Remember, a budget isn't about deprivation. It's about giving yourself options. It's about reducing stress. It's about creating freedom. Most importantly, financial management is about building the life that you want. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share with someone else that you think could use some control of their finances this year. Thank you for watching Women for Wealth, and we'll see you in the next video. Until next time, I wish you health and wealth.